Good afternoon, happy Wesak Day and salam Malaysia Padani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brother Paul and you're watching Updates at Noon. Our headlines for today. MOH considers tetanus, diphtheria and acellular pertussis vaccine for pregnant women. And also heavy rain, floods killed at least 129 in Rwanda, 6 in Uganda. The Health Ministry, MOH, is mulling giving the tetanus, diphtheria and acellular pertussis TDAP vaccine to pregnant women as an effort to prevent the spread of pertussis or whooping cough. Its Minister, Dr. SAHIH Mustafa, said the vaccine aims to protect babies from birth until they complete the 6-dose primary series, as stated in the National Immunisation Schedule. In a statement, she said the majority of pertussis cases in the country are among babies under the age of 5 months who have not reached the optimal level of immunity because the 3-dose primary pertussis vaccine has not yet been completed. According to Dr. SAHIH, as of 28 April, 132 pertussis or whooping cough cases and 2 fatalities had been recorded in the country, a decrease of 73.3% compared to the 495 cases reported on 28 April 2019. She said that babies under the age of 12 months had the highest number of cases at 67, followed by children between the ages of 1 and 10 with 47 cases, and the rest were those aged 11 and older. Dr. SAHIH said the vaccination is an effective pertussis preventive method and that in Malaysia, babies are given the pertussis vaccine at the ages of 2 months, 3 months, 5 months and 18 months. She said that individuals with symptoms should cover their mouths when coughing and sneezing and immediately wash their hands to avoid spreading the disease to others. The Sarawak Government and the Communications and Digital Ministry, KKD, are in agreement that the issues of race, religion, royalty or 3R need to be handled properly, as it can become a cancer in Malaysia's multiracial and multi-religious society. Deputy Communications and Digital Minister Teo Ni Ching said the 3R issue was among the subjects discussed during her courtesy call on Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg yesterday. In a Facebook post, she said both sides also discussed issues concerning Sarawak's telecommunications infrastructure, including the status of tower construction under the National Digital Network Jendela Phase 1 with a 4.09 billion ringgit allocation, implementation of Point of Presence POP Phase 1 and Phase 2 with an allocation of more than 1 billion ringgit and construction and expansion of digital economy centres. Apart from this, she said the Sarawak Premier also stressed the need for political stability at the Sarawak and federal levels so that the issues concerning the rakyat and national development can be given attention. Teo said they also touched on the country's financial capabilities in relation to Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim's efforts to manage the government's cash flow and strengthen the country's finances. 2 suppliers of jewellery were ambushed in broad daylight behind a goldsmith shop and robbed a delivery worth an estimated 1.7 million ringgit in Kuala Pilah, Negeri Sembilan yesterday. Now, the gold store manager, Nur Hazliza Abdul Rahman, said based on CCTV footage at the premises, the incident happened around 11 a.m. when the 2 dealers carrying 2 bags of jewellery were attacked by 2 men in black masks.
Memang kejadian tu berlaku di belakang kedai kami dan bukan kedai kami yang kena rompak, yang kena adalah kita punya supplier. Dia memang nak datang sini tapi dah kena rompak sebelum masuk ke kedai. Kalau tengok CCTV tu memang semua barang dia dah kena ambil dan lepas tu masuk kedai dan lepas tu kita buat laporan polis lah.
Checks by reporters showed that the shop was operating as usual, although police had blocked several roads in the vicinity. Based on the 34-second CCTV recording, the 2 victims were just alighting from their car parked at the back of the goldsmith shop when they were set up upon by the robbers. One victim was seen running away but was chased and attacked by a robber who grabbed his bag. The other victim apparently dropped the second bag to avoid harm while the robbers escaped with the loot in a silver car. Negeri Sembilan Police Chief Dato' Ahmad Zafir Muhammad Yusof confirmed the robbery and said the case was being investigated under sections 395 and 397 of the Penal Code. A new bridge will be built to replace the Angkor Bridge, which collapsed on Tuesday. Perak State Exco Dato' Sri Muhammad Nizar Jamaluddin said it would take between 15 months and 2 years for the bridge to be fully completed, and the cost would be worked out in detail soon. Dato' Sri Nizar, who is also the State Infrastructure, Energy, Water and Public Transport Committee Chairman, said the construction of the bridge will also take into account the Sungai Angkor slope, which needs to be reinforced to prevent any erosion in the future.
Lebih lagi sungai Angkor ni sungainya dalam, ya, dan dia pula lebih kurang dalam sampai 1 meter daripada sungai Perak, tebing sungai Perak itu sendiri. Jadi kita akan lihat dia punya kecerunan tebing sungai Angkor ni sendiri, sama ada cerun-cerun itu perlu kita perkukuhkan. We have to reinforce the slopes so that it will prevent any erosion in future.
The State Exco said this after surveying the site of the incident with State JKR Director IR Hamdan Ali yesterday. He also said there was no need to build a Bailey Bridge as villagers there had alternative routes in Kampung Loh to go to Pekan Karai and surrounding areas. About 5,000 residents around the Kampung Angkor area found their daily activities affected by Tuesday's collapse of the Angkor Bridge, which connects them with nearby areas. The 13-meter-long bridge collapsed at about 11:40 p.m. due to the strong current of Sungai Angkor following heavy rain for the past week. Over in Kluang Johor, police arrested 4 people, including a Vietnamese woman, and seized some 4 kilograms of shabu and ganja during a raid on a terrace house in Taman Delima 3. Kluang Police Chief ACP Bahrain Muhammad Noor said the suspects, 2 men and 2 women, aged between 26 and 34, had been remanded for 6 days until the 6th of May.
Yang mana hasil pemeriksaan telah merampas dadah jenis syabu seberat 3,534.40 gram dengan nilai anggaran lebih kurang RM194,393, ganja seberat 534 gram dengan nilai anggaran lebih kurang RM1,500.
He said police also seized 2 cars and cash of 158,150 ringgit. Preliminary investigation shows that the seized drugs were for the markets in Kluang and nearby districts. ACP Bahrain said the 3 local suspects had records for drug offences and all tested positive for drugs. He added that between January and 30th April this year, the district police had arrested 406 people for various drugs offences and seized drugs worth almost 3 million ringgit. The Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department, JBPM, in Kelantan will work round the clock to stamp out the smouldering landfill site in Beris Lalang in Bachok to end worsening air pollution caused by the week-long fire. Its director, Zainal Madasin, said the landfill that started burning on 25th April, apparently caused by extremely hot weather, has been divided into 2 sectors to complete the extinguishing process.
Jadi setakat ni kita masih guna kekuatan anggota kita dalam negeri. Kalau tak ada, mungkin kita import daripada negeri yang tak terkesan. Serupa macam banjir lah. Tapi setakat ni, kawasan Bachok yang paling dekat lah yang bantu kita. InsyaAllah. Media pun bantu kita.
Zainal said the extinguishing process was taking quite a long time due to the constraints of distance and limited water sources, as well as being surrounded by areas of easily flammable peat. He said that, at this stage, they have identified a source of water from a catchment pond located about 1,000 feet from the fire spot, but are unsure if the supply is sufficient to extinguish the blaze. Meanwhile, Zainal advised the public not to carry out open burning in nearby areas to avoid igniting another fire. For the record, a total of 575 cases of open fires have been recorded as of April, involving areas of peatland, estates, bush areas, lalang, undergrowth, and garbage disposal sites. More than 50 homes in Kampung Melayu Majidi in Johor Bahru were damaged, most of them with their roofs ripped apart after being hit by a storm yesterday afternoon. Like an assemblyman, Muhammad Hairi Mat Shah said a relief centre were opened at Dewan Raya Kampung Melayu Majidi to house the affected residents. Muhammad Hairi said he had contacted Johor Menteri Besar Dato' Wan Hafiz Ghazi to request for an extra allocation for the affected residents. Muhammad Hairi, who is also the State Youth, Sports, Entrepreneur Development, Cooperatives and Human Resources Committee Chairman, said that the relevant authorities were collecting information on damage and losses suffered by all the victims. Meanwhile, the Johor Bahru District Disaster Management Committee Secretariat, in a statement, said 3 vehicles were damaged by falling trees in the 2:48 p.m. incident. And still to come, Perodua expects oil filter issue to be resolved by mid-year. Stay with us. But first, the Malaysian International Humanitarian Organisation, or MHO, has urged the National Anti-Financial Crime Centre and FCC to coordinate the efforts of enforcement agencies, including the police, to reopen investigations into 2 local investment companies suspected of fraud. Speaking to the media after submitting a complaint and appeal to the NFCC in Putrajaya yesterday, MHO Secretary-General Dato' Hishamuddin Hashim said the investigation into the companies that were involved in the Zutelo investment scheme and e-rewards had been classified as no further action, NFA, and referred to other agency RLA by the police. He said the NFCC can assist in terms of coordination and working together with the investigation agencies, adding that MHO could provide credible witnesses for the investigation. Dato' Hishamuddin said the companies involved should be investigated under Section 415 and Section 420 of the Penal Code. He claimed that over 200 victims have been duped by the Zutelo investment scheme, involving losses of millions of ringgit. Perusahaan Otomobil Kedua Sendirian Berhad, Perodua, expects the leading oil filter issue related to its vendor will be resolved by the middle of this year. President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Sri Zainal Abidin Ahmad said the problem affects nearly 40,000 vehicles, including Perodua Arus and vehicle models using the Daihatsu New Global Architecture or DNGA platform, such as Perodua Alza and Ativa. Explaining further, Datuk Sri Zainal Abidin said the existing vendor must make improvements within a certain period of time, which they are currently monitoring. He said based on the data that Perodua have collected, the warranty claims rate has declined since February, meaning that the problem has ceased following the oil filter replacement. He said the automaker is also considering several other vendors as an alternative measure to solve the problem. He explained that filters from cars produced by original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, are not affected by the issue as they meet all the standards based on production requirements. The Perodua chief added that the issue only involves the aftermarket dealing with suppliers, apart from the OEMs. In a foreign front, China braces for over 270 million passengers returning from holidays. Stay with us. But first, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi yesterday met with Peruvian President Dina Boluarte in Lima as the two leaders discussed bilateral issues to consolidate trade ties. Hayashi and Boluarte met at a presidential palace in Lima to mark the 150th anniversary of the start of diplomatic relations between the two countries. The Japanese official also met with his Peruvian counterpart, Ana Cecilia Gervasi, at Peru's Foreign Ministry headquarters, where both delivered a joint statement. Hayashi expressed Japan's expectations of Peru's role as an important economic partner to strengthen global supply chains.
また鉱物エネルギー資源の宝庫であり、世界的なサプライチェーンの強靭化に向けて、経済的にも重要なパートナーでありますペルーの役割について期待していることもお伝えをいたしました。今後とも官民で協力をして、二国間の経済関係を強化するために努力をしてまいります。
According to the Peruvian Foreign Ministry, trade between the two countries reached $4.2 billion by 2022, making the Asian country Peru's fourth largest trading partner. Hayashi also said Japan and Peru agreed to work closely to respond to current international situations, including the war between Russia and Ukraine. Hayashi will visit Chile today to meet with President Gabriel Boric.
China expects to handle more than 270 million passenger trips made by rail, road, water and air during the 5-day Labor Day holiday that ends today, roughly 163% higher than the same period of last year, according to the Ministry of Transport.
Expressway passenger trips were expected to reach 163.09 million, with a daily average of 32.618 million, down 29.4% from the same period in 2019 and up 99.1% from 2022. Waterways were expected to handle 6.804 million passengers with a daily average of 1.361 million, down 66.3% over the same period in 2019 and up 114.2% over the same period in 2022. Civil aviation was expected to handle 9.415 million passengers or 1.883 million per day, an increase of 4.2% over the same period in 2019 and 507.4% over 2022. Specifically today, China's transport sector was expected to register a total of 57.38 million passenger trips, up 9.5% from the previous month, 15.8% lower than the same period in 2019, and 160.1% higher than the same period in 2022.
Flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rain have killed at least 129 people in Rwanda and 6 in Uganda as rescuers hunted survivors trapped in homes. Muddy water flowed swiftly down an inundated road and destroyed houses as residents were seen scampering to recover the little that was left.
In a statement, President Paul Kagame said his government was helping affected people, including with temporary relocations. The Uganda Red Cross said in a mountainous area of neighboring Uganda near the border with Rwanda, 6 people died overnight into Wednesday in the southwestern Kisoro district. It added 5 were from one family and emergency workers had begun excavations to retrieve the bodies. Rwanda and Uganda have been experiencing heavy and sustained rain since late March. Landslides have been reported in other elevated areas of Uganda, like Kasese, near the Rwenzori Mountains, where deluges and floods destroyed homes and displaced hundreds. The Rwanda Meteorology Agency has forecast rainfall above the average in May for the East African nation.
Brazilian police yesterday raided former President Jair Bolsonaro's home and arrested 2 personal aides as part of an investigation into falsified COVID-19 vaccination records. The investigation may answer questions about how Bolsonaro, a strident coronavirus skeptic who vowed never to get the COVID vaccine, was registered as vaccinated in health records made public in February.
The vaccine probe is one of many, putting the former far-right leader under pressure, including investigations into alleged voter suppression, attacks on the legitimacy of Brazilian elections, and embezzlement of foreign gifts. Bolsonaro has denied any wrongdoing. Federal police in a statement said they were serving 16 search warrants and 6 preventive arrest warrants in Brasilia and Rio de Janeiro as part of the operation, but did not disclose the names of those targeted. The sources who requested anonymity to discuss an ongoing investigation said the operation had arrested Mauro Cid and Max Guilherme, personal assistants to Bolsonaro as president, who stayed on as his aides when he stepped down in January. Police said they were investigating false data allegedly added to a national COVID-19 database between November 2021 and December 2022, when Bolsonaro was president.
Erling Haaland breaks record for most goals in one EPL season. Next in sports. Manchester City's Erling Haaland continued his incredible debut campaign in England as he broke the record for most goals in a single Premier League season last night or this morning when he struck his side's second against West Ham United. Now the Norwegian goal machine chipped finish from a Jack Grealish pass in the 70th minute took him to 35, past the record he had shared with Alan Shearer and Andy Cole.
The City players formed a guard of honour after the game at the Etihad Stadium, enthusiastically patting Haaland on the head as he ran through in celebration. Both Shearer and Cole set their tallies in 42-game seasons. Haaland, who is only 22 and in his debut Premier League season, has 5 more games to extend the record. He has also rewritten a handful of Champions League records, having taken just 27 matches to reach 35 goals in Europe's Premier Club competition. He was the youngest to reach 30 goals, beating French forward Kylian Mbappe by 116 days. He became only the third player in history to score 5 goals in a Champions League game in City's 7-0 rout of RB Leipzig in their last 16 game on March 14. Last week, he became the first player in England's top flight to score 50 goals in all competitions in a season, since Tom Waring did so for Aston Villa in 1931.
And manager Erik ten Hag said Manchester United cannot afford to become complacent as they look to end their campaign by securing a spot in next season's Champions League. Now, the Dutchman, who led United to their first silverware since 2016, when they won the League Cup in February, warned his team not to ease up in their bid to earn a place in Europe's elite club competition.
I never want to talk during the season of a proud or satisfaction. No, because you know my statement, satisfaction that lead to laziness. And we are in the season, we have 6 games to go, and every game we want to win. And therefore you need fully focused, you need full energy, you need full preparation. And tomorrow definitely it's going to be a fight, and we have to get ready for that fight and to get the points.
United are 4th in the Premier League, 7 points ahead of 5th place Liverpool, who have played a game more. Ten Hag's team have 6 league games left, starting with Thursday's trip to Brighton and Hove Albion before facing Manchester City in the FA Cup final. United beat Brighton on penalties in the FA Cup semi-final last month, and Ten Hag acknowledged that Roberto Di Zerbi's men would be fired up by the thought of revenge. Young forward Alejandro Garnacho is still nursing an ankle injury but is back in training, while defender Rafael Varane and midfielder Scott McTominay will be unavailable for at least 2 more games.
Real Madrid appear to be closing in on signing high elite out of Borussia Dortmund and England midfielder Jude Bellingham, according to media reports yesterday.
The 19-year-old Bellingham is already seen as one of the most talented players in world soccer, having played for England at 2022 World Cup in Qatar and continuing to impress in Germany, where he scored 11 goals and registered 7 assists in all competitions this season. It is thought that Manchester City are also interested in signing the teenager, although negotiations with Madrid are said to be in the more advanced stages. Bellingham joined Dortmund in 2020 and quickly attracted the attention of multiple high-profile clubs with a string of impressive performances. The former Birmingham playmaker could form a formidable long-term midfield for the Spanish Giants, with youngsters Eduardo Camavinga, age 20, Aurelio Tchouameni, age 23, and 24-year-old Federico Valverde already on their books.
And in tennis, world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz stayed on course for his 4th title of 2023 by powering into the semi-finals of the Madrid Open with a 6-4, 7-5 win over Russian Karen Khachanov yesterday.
Defending his title from last year, Alcaraz will be looking to celebrate his 20th birthday tomorrow on 5th May with a win against either Croatian Borna Coric or surprise German qualifier Daniel Altmaier in his 6 Masters 1000 events semi-final. Alcaraz managed to break the Russian serve in the 7th game, closing the first set 6-4. However, the Spaniard began the second set a little distracted and allowed Khachanov to open up a 4-1 lead before he woke up to fight back and win the match in under 2 hours. Alcaraz has reached 18 consecutive wins in Spanish clay court tournaments since losing to Rafael Nadal in Madrid 2 years ago on his 18th birthday. His winning percentage overall on clay is already the third best since 2010 at 82.3%, behind only legendary athletes Nadal and Novak Djokovic. Meanwhile, Borna Coric marched into the Madrid Open semi-finals with a 6-3, 6-3 quarter-final win over Daniel Altmaier yesterday. The 26-year-old, who lifted his maiden ATP Masters 1000 trophy last year in Cincinnati, earned a service break in his second return game and never looked back to triumph after 1 hour and 14 minutes. The Zagreb native dominated behind his first serve and did not face a breakpoint against his German opponent. Altmaier struggled to find consistency from the baseline early against Coric, and that proved costly. The German showed plenty of power with his one-handed backhand, but with his deep return position was never able to put much pressure on the Croatian service games in the first set. Coric's win marked the end of Altmaier's dream run in Madrid as the German lucky loser failed to contain the Croat, never having forced a breakpoint. The number 17 seed, who also reached the quarters in Madrid as a lucky loser back in 2017, will next face number 1 seed and home favourite Carlos Alcaraz in the semis.
6-3, 6-3.
Still in tennis, Britain's Emma Raducanu will miss the French Open and Wimbledon while she recovers from surgery on her wrists and ankle. Raducanu, who has struggled with form and fitness since her fairy tale run to the US Open title as an 18-year-old qualifier in 2021, withdrew from the Madrid Open last month, citing an injury to her right hand.
She posted a photo of herself in a hospital bed with her right hand bandaged after a minor procedure, saying was having one on the left too. The head problems, involving a bone very close to the wrists, brought an early end to her season in 2022 and have since flared up at various points this year, including last week when she withdrew from the Madrid Open just hours before she was scheduled to play her first round match. Her withdrawal from Madrid will likely see her fall outside the top 100 in the WTA rankings for the first time since her stunning breakthrough in New York. She also lost in the first round in Miami and Stuttgart and was beaten in straight sets by Coco Gauff in the second round of the Australian Open. While the hope is that she will be back on the training court at the end of the summer, it means that her participation remains doubtful for the US Open, which gets underway at the end of August.
And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, MOH considers tetanus, diphtheria and acellular pertussis vaccine for pregnant women. Do tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up later at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM. You can also stream it via RTM's mobile Click app. Till then, I'm Brendan Paul. Thank you for watching.